not just the answers, not just the quotes. It's life in the margins. It's time for CluffsNotes.
So we are in season 4 of CluffsNotes podcast. We are in week 10, and this is Wednesday. And yesterday, the last episode, I mentioned that things are shifting. I'm not taking her to regular mandatory classes or regular unexpected but mandatory drug tests. We're stepping into this in-between stage, this territory where there's just fewer requirements. There seems to be more freedom. And in this ride on Wednesday, it was one of the most powerful moments for me in the season. Because as we were driving there in the morning, Tammy told me that she got to tell for the first time in this journey of recovery, she told publicly her story in a room full of people. It was a recovery meeting and there was no script. There was no sugarcoating, she said. There's just trying to be real about her journey. And I love that she said, I just put all my cards out. She didn't try to make it prettier than it was. She didn't try to clean it up with a real nice bow. She just told the truth about what's going on in her world and where she is now. This was huge for her. Huge. You could hear it in her voice. She was excited. She was honored. She was thrilled that she did it. I think Tammy is a healer. So I asked her, what did it feel like when you shared? What was the response? How did it go? And she shared that people listened. She said they laughed. She goes, there's some that cried. People came up afterwards and said things. And as she's telling me, you could tell she was proud that her story made a difference, that these people felt a little less alone in their own journeys. And I love that because that's not just sharing, that is owning, and that is sacred. Stories like Tammy's, they carry weight, not because they're polished, but because they're true. They're authentic. In recovery, and honestly, in life, every voice that we get adds perspective. It allows another angle to see things. And I think that perspective is part of that healing that is needed in life, but also especially in recovery. It's part of how we learn to reflect. We start to see ourselves more clearly, and then we can also then leave space for others' stories. It was important to Tammy as she was sharing this, that she wanted people to know that recovery for her is not necessarily about classes and groups. What has really helped her as she opened up was getting to know herself. Specifically, taking ownership of living with bipolar, anxiety, PTSD. Tammy's learned that if she does not stay steady, especially with medication that is helping in this area, everything else will unravel. And she says, for me, the meds help me live more fully. They're not there to numb her. They're not there to help her forget. They're just to stabilize her so she's able to do the work. And that's part of her system, her self-awareness, her honesty, her boundaries. It's not someone else's checklist. It's her own compass. And that's recovery too. Not just compliance, not just finishing the program. It's building that scaffolding, however it needs to look, to be able to help yourself. And when Harbor and I drove back after our morning time with preschool Papa at the church, we went to go pick her up, and I just kept thinking about where she's at right now. There's just so many unknowns still. There's housing, income, transportation, just all these next steps. And some of these are huge. And maybe that's what this ride was about. We're not solving everything. We're just sort of sitting and saying, there's a road ahead. It may not be clear, but you don't have to do it alone. You have others, you have agency, you have your tribe. And best of all, you get to build that road. And maybe, just maybe, imagine a future where your journey is what helps others believe in their future.
Another reel for the shelf.